Us. Hey, if you no longer talk about this, I think I gave her like, what was it, 2 weeks or something, and she broke it soon after.
So how many hours this time?
I would do anything for $100 gift support gift card, like anything. I honestly, I don't think there's nothing I wouldn't do.
I mean, I think it's gonna be 6 hours or 7 hours before you're on stream again complaining about it. Wait, hold on. I got a question, okay? Because I watch your like patterns of behavior. Okay, do you not sleep, or what is your sleep like? Are you like on a biphasic schedule here? Do you sleep 4 hours, wake up, and then sleep for 4
my
hours?
sleep schedule's been fucked because this shit just loops around in my
Oh
brain
yeah, I get messages from her like weird ass times at night.
all the time.
Do you intentionally go live at some times to try to avoid your moderators force rating you? Be honest.
A few times it's maybe happened. Just a few times.
So bad.
I know. And then they wake up anyway, so it doesn't matter.
How do they wake up? Do they have an alarm set?
You remind me of I grew up with somebody who was an alcoholic. You remind me of an alcoholic finding ways to get to the bottle.
It's interesting because my moms think that too, because they're like, you always say
Son of God, I don't think you technically won. Yeah, I don't think I decided on a winner.
one more time, one more stream, just one more stream. Anna, you always say just one more stream.
Or
Oh God,
Destiny.
I do sound like an addict. Holy shit.
Yeah. And how do you treat addiction?
Well,
Is it
one
through
way is cold
continuing-
turkey. One way is going cold turkey.
I think the
Don't eat it.
that's definitely something you don't do. The last thing I would offer an alcoholic is a bunch of alcohol.
Yeah.
So what would be the best thing for an
My
addict
regular
to do?
viewers don't even watch me anymore.
Honestly, Dylan, mad props to you for creating this analogy. This is something that I really missed in my interview. Like this, just creating that analogy to addiction. That was really good. Like that was really good. And I'm guessing Dylan's had to deal with addiction because of his mom. So he knows a lot about it. So it's very fitting that he was the one that created that analogy with her, because it's honestly, I hope this is effective with her, because I actually think that that it really hit the spot there.
They're like, I don't want to enable this. They don't
You
even watch
push
it.
them away. They don't want to
Yeah,
watch
I
it.
know.
They want to watch
It's so
Stardew,
tough.
or you talk about some cutesy stuff, or you being on some
know.
panel. And that's
It's
not what your
super tough.
content is. I don't know you for Stardew Valley. I don't know you for these. I only know you for being an addict. And your addiction is talking about Destiny.
Yep, Sauce McCook, exactly.
Well, to be fair, it's not just like talking about him, but more so.
It's also
talking
crying about him, yelling about
Yeah.
him, like everything about him.
about the things, yeah, about the shit. That, yeah.
Do you think your therapist would say that you should feed into addiction?
No, I mean she tells me to avoid the negativity
play
and
three
like
fucking-
try and
okay.
distract with other things.
Do you
Which
think
is
there's
what I
any?
try to do.
Do you think there's anybody in your life that would tell you to feed into an addiction?
No, only like the weird drama frogs who like get off on this shit.
Of course, but you wouldn't want to be like, you wouldn't want to help them. You wouldn't want to make their day. They hate you.
Well, they're kind of dark triad, so yeah.
Yeah, those dark triad people want to see you cry. They want to see you freak out. That's what they want, and you give it
I'm
to them
dark triad.
every single day of the week.
I'm
I
dark
know.
triad.
Should have leveled up, but should put the other.
You know, there's a reality somewhere, like a Perio reality, where people don't know you for this, and they know you for like Stardew Valley
Have them
streams.
sign a mutual
And
NDA
your
at this
most
point, Omega
like
will.
your most like viewed clips are like you finding an amazing Stardew Valley item and like playing with your friends and having a good time. But in this reality, what are all your most viewed clips? Are any of them not to do with Destiny?
Strider, it's because she's
No,
dark
and that's what I was
triad.
just saying the other day. I was like, why can't like my cutesy clips go viral? Why is it
Because
always about
nobody
drama?
cares, because this is what you do. You haven't built that community. That community, any community that was interested in you playing Stardew Valley is fucking gone. You gotta get them back.
Yeah, I know.
And you're not getting them back right now. If someone was to tune into my stream, or any of my viewers were thinking about watching your content, the thing that they would come away, the conclusion they'd come away from this, is that you're obsessed with Destiny.
No.
Yeah, I know, and I don't
Oh.
like that. I definitely don't want to give off that impression.
Then stop talking
So
about
how do you stop
him.
giving off that impression?
I have to stop.
Exactly. And if you don't, like, Destiny's just gonna make another video about it, and it's gonna continue to go down, and one day, 50 years from now, people are gonna be like, oh, remember that locale Anna? Whatever happened to her? I bet she's still streaming about Destiny.
Oh god.
That's what people are gonna think.
Oh my god.
That's what I think currently about you.
Oh god. Oh god, that's bad.
Yeah, no, she said if she was a 100K viewer, sorry, if she was if she gets 100K views on her streaming channel, she literally said she would still be focused and obsessed with this. And all the people that she hates like me.
It is.
You should try taking mushrooms sometime.
All right.
Break the loop.
No.
No.
Do some drugs. Do some LSD.
Oh.
Break free of your mind. 'Cause it's broken.
It's broken.
You know,
Wait, let's brainstorm for the next streams.
The idea of Anna on shrooms is genuinely terrifying. Or like Anna on, can you imagine Anna on Molly? That is, yo, that is scary.
So, you're gonna say that me and Dylan gaslit and manipulated you, right?
I have to stop though. Even
But
though I
you're
do
going
actually
to.
feel that way.
Are you
It's
really
gonna be
going to
It's
though?
gonna be 7 hours, right?
No.
You're gonna say that we manipulated you, gaslit you.
I can't. I have to stop it.
You're
I have
going to.
stop
though.
it.
You know, I want to believe you, but I don't, and I don't think anyone else does.
Well, why would you?
We have no
There's
reason
no
to.
ethic.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't blame you. I wouldn't believe me either.
You know what I would suggest? Not
Yeah.
of course stepping away from streaming for a bit. Maybe
Yeah,
if you
I
come
plan
back,
to.
you plan to. You just have to do it, right? Because I plan
Yeah.
on working out tomorrow. Whether I do it or not is
What
up to
the
a different
fuck?
thing, right?
Yep.
Up to my actual interest in doing it, how much I'm dedicated to do. Starting's always the most difficult part. And once you get going for like a week or 2 weeks, then it gets easier and easier. Definitely as less people
Like
ask for
Kitty.
that. But maybe if you ever do come back to stream, you maybe should start for a bit, maybe on a separate platform, because then
One thing I noticed about Anna in chats like this is she eventually becomes super agreeable and friendly. I feel like this is her bullshitting. Whoever she's speaking to, I remember her getting in this way with you. Yep, she did. There's like the exact same period that happened where I thought, oh my god, I've made progress. Like maybe this is not all for nothing and we could actually get a win out of this situation, right? And
Oh.
yeah, she just completely.
then maybe you'll
reverses
be
that.
Regek?
interacting with less people from Destiny's community, and like then maybe slowly you'd come back. There's a million different ways you can go about this, but you actually have to, I feel like, set down a game plan. Like, how are you gonna stop doing this?
Because for normal people, it usually feels like that period of the conversation is the problem-solving period, where we've gotten our emotions out, we've gotten out our needs. Now let's actually resolve this conflict. You know, it's like that's normally how that works. And I think like Dylan's feeling like that's the moment. Destiny would normally feel like that's the moment, but he knows that this is not gonna happen. And like.
Oh, more defensive.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm very
I think
susceptible
so.
to that, for sure, because I always want to solve the conflict, and I'll be an idealist. And everything else.
Because I won't be
Yeah.
super disappointed tomorrow when I see you streaming about this again. But there will be a slight bit of disappointment. Because I
Oh,
don't
God.
expect you to actually stop. But I would
Oh,
like you
God.
to.
That just though you telling me that you're gonna feel disappointed in me, that actually is like the best fucking motivation. Holy fuck, I don't like disappointing people at all. That hurts.
Yo, Anna, how you think I felt when you broke my the commitment? I offered you a $100 Sephora gift card. $100 Sephora gift
Right.
card.
No.
Okay? I don't offer that to everyone. How do you think I felt? I was disappointed. You disappointed me.
Bad. I don't know why, but it just does. So thank you for telling me that. I'll keep that in mind. And it will guilt me into enough to not doing it.
I'm telling you, the way you could make all of your community members that actually care about you the most, and all of you, probably your therapist and everyone, proud of you and think you did something really cool, would actually be disengaged.
I didn't say I'd
Be
be
like, I don't
disappointed. You're right.
care what
Right,
this
I
thinks
didn't
about
say
me.
it.
I don't
Point
care
blank.
what a lot of these people think about me. What I care about is doing what I want to do on Twitch, doing what I want to do in my life, right? That would be the way to make everybody proud. I'm expecting the disappointment, Anna.
Yep. Spoiler alert, guys. She
Someone
ended up
must
streaming.
Back to the river whose levels
Yeah.
low.
It'd be really
whose
cool if you
level
did.
reduce.
Yeah.
If you don't do it for us,
level by that
do
monster's
it for Dev.
level, but
tomorrow.
versus
Oh
you
my
cannot
god.
activate the code.
Do it for Merle. Save Merle.
Well,
Hashtag
can you
save
please stop
Merle.
with the conspiracy theories about Merle making alt accounts.
That was totally his account, Anna. Come on,
It's really not.
Anna.
You know, if you need another love
Yeah.
interest, I mean, Merle is like, you know,
Anna, that account
I
is
already
definitely
have
good.
another date. I already have a date.
wonderful.
Poor
Be
Merle.
polyamorous, right? This is a great thing. All right. And then that way you'll be disappointing multiple people. You re-engage with
Yeah,
the
she
channel.
ended up a
Did
few
you
hours
check
later.
the
She
date
streamed.
that that account was made? It was made in like
But apparently it was a non-Destiny stream.
2018. You could check the date on her account.
I don't know. I have no clue what the stream was.
Do you not do that?
I don't want to spread misinformation.
Shitty to like. Listen, Merle is an innocent bystander in all of this. Okay, like
Anna,
he-
I don't
he
want to
doesn't-
get too into this.
he
but
doesn't
I have a
deserve
friend-
to like be thrown under the bus.
Anna, I've got a friend that works at Twitch, and I happen to know that the IP address for both those accounts is the same. So I know that it's Merle. I'm sorry.
It's
okay.
not,
Unless these two
though.
people live together,
Wait, can I ask, why do you think it's not?
Because she's literally a person like that.
have you ever seen a picture of her before?
Yes, I have.
Really?
She-
Does she
I
stream?
can't. No,
Did
but
she
like
sent you a picture of herself? What?
No, like a profile picture.
I should've said
I've seen. Like
ridiculous.
she changed her name and everything
You
because she
kill
was getting like
everything.
harassment because people thought that she was like me, like because they got like Anna Vor or like the name mixed up.
Okay.
She's really into surfing.
I don't want to believe it's Merle.
She's
Have you
really
ever-
like a
she-
normie.
Have you ever seen her stream or like do anything? Because I could send you a picture of just a
No.
random person. I could do an AI generated whatever, right?
No.
Yeah,
But, I
generated
mean-
cock.
Like, how actually confident are you that this is a separate person?
I am.
What
100%
evidence?
confident.
What evidence do you have?
What'd you do?
I can't believe it is Merle. It's just so cringe.
Ah!
I don't want to believe that anyone would do that. You know? It's just like I don't want to live in a world where that's
We.
where a man does to get laid. Like I just don't. That's so sad. It's so sad. It makes me sad. I don't want to live in that world.
not turn on
I refuse to believe it.
Doesn't even speak
I don't care if it's cope. I refuse to believe it. No, no, no.
like Merle, and like she talks about surfing
Well,
all the time.
if I was trying to make a separate account and pretend it's a separate person, I wouldn't speak the exact same way, would I?
Okay. Well, listen.
I just don't want her to get harassed because like that's not really right.
Blue eyes,
He's
cock
trying to have
liquor
this
dragon.
conversation, he can't- He's like, I got my views. That's all I needed.
Wait,
I got my
what?
content. It's done.
In your battle against my community.
No. Oh, this is the other thing you lied
was
about. I already
Merle.
told you that my main reason for rating her was I thought she was like a
Oh.
victim of some
Oh,
bullying or
no.
something. That was the main
Another
reason.
blue eyes. Oh
And
no,
you tried to
whatever
say,
could I
"Oh,
do
no,
to
it was
stop
start
this?
Drama.
Wait, Kentucky, why do you like? What? Because I'm coping.
I was like, no, that was the added bonus of like pissing off DGG.
So, how about this? You know
How am
what?
I supposed to know? Like, it's like you think that I like follow your life around or something.
No, but we don't know. Like, we don't. I haven't actually seen the IP addresses. Like, I haven't seen the proof myself. You know?
And I don't. Like, why would I want to make myself look like more of a stalker? Do you know what I
And maybe it's Merle's sister. You know? Or Merle's friend that like lives with him.
mean? Like, if I
I
had
don't
known
know.
that she was like a part of your community, I would not have raided her. Because I don't need any more. Like, I don't need like, I don't know. I don't need to like give people like perceived ammo or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, I really wouldn't have done that.
Okay, so I feel like we've basically beat this to death. Now, this was your last hit of meth, okay?
Yep.
I will hope that this was your last puff, and now you gotta disengage. So you know what? This is what I'm gonna do, okay? Destiny, if she, even though neither of us believes this is gonna happen, if she actually, and please don't disappoint me, okay?
Yeah.
If she actually makes a commitment to not talk about you again, okay? Even though I'm snorting cocaine right now, okay? Would you stop talking about her?
Yeah, of course.
Would you, you know, delete all the hate Reddit threads and all that stuff?
If she can go 6 months, yeah, sure. I'll even take down the YouTube videos again.
You'll take down all the YouTube videos on her if she can do 6 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that deal.
You like that
Yeah,
deal?
we've made it before, 3 or 4 times.
I will stop talking about her too.
I mean, you know, like, we should retract
Like,
it,
I'll
but I
commit
guess
to
I'm not
that
getting
as well.
that,
It's never gonna
so-
So
happen.
I'm pretty sure
and
she
I'm
already
telling you
broke it
right
today.
now, face to face, there is
There
no
might- you know
circumstance.
what?
But I
You
just
know
want to
what? There might
confirm.
be a retraction. You can go 6 months, okay? There might be a retraction.
Don't. That is, you just set off a time bomb.
You're gonna toy with me like that?
If you can go 6 months, I'll
What?
That's probably already a MGTOW, like secret.
That's a
right?
really big.
That is the best deal you're ever gonna get, and if you give it
Okay,
up right now, you're
that's a
fucking.
really good deal. That's
Okay,
a really
accept
good
it.
deal.
Then accept it.
Okay, it needs to happen now. It really fucking needs
Then
to
accept
happen.
it, okay? Okay.
Yeah, I accept it.
This
It
is
really
this. Let's
needs to
not make
happen
this the Treaty of Versailles, okay? Let's have. Let's.
Want to go back to doing what I was doing?
Okay,
I love you, Dylan.
treaties
See you later.
were signed.
I love all the
Yeah.
history references from Dylan. You know, we appreciate
Stream in 7
that.
hours. Good luck, guys.
Okay. Anna, please don't
Okay.
disappoint me, okay?
Oh god, you
I'm expecting it, but don't do it.
So she did stream. So she broke it immediately. She at least broke the rule that she wasn't gonna stream for a bit. So she did stream that morning, just like a few hours later. Okay, we're spoiling the end. We're spoiling the end, guys. CPT before bed. What does that mean? Oh, it's like, cognitive behavioral therapy. Okay, and then don't worry about the sneak disses.
And usually like a core part of that is that you expose yourself to like the trigger and you don't do the ritual. And that is like torture for people with OCD. It is like fucking torture. Like one of the things my therapist had me do
Kind of being a lawyer right now, like trying to get around the rules. You know?
Oh shit, I want this to die.
did
I
this
don't know why I
with
keep
me
doing that.
with like germs shit. My OCD
Well,
affects
whatever.
a lot of things. It
Probably
can be
shouldn't take an L
very
now.
fucking debilitating, honestly.
You just like
Um,
this? I can't
Certain
kill it though.
people don't understand mental disorders,
Okay, we'll see what I can do.
but like honestly, OCD can be so much more than
Yo, her avatar's scaring the living shit out of me right now. Like, I'm genuinely scared.
Just like, oh, I have to flip the light switch a few times before I leave the room. Like, no. It can be far more complicated.
Okay, so she's not breaking it yet. I would say that this is not breaking it. She's definitely being a bit of a lawyer, though, like, because she's, like, touching on it a little. But then, okay, vague examples.
Please. For me, since I get, like, something triggers me. I get, like, a trigger, and then, like, it triggers, like, this belief. This, like, core belief. And then I feel, I feel, like, very negatively, and then I engage in, like,
I shouldn't have switched
what
to
other
attack position. I
people
could die here,
consider
but
to be self-destructive behavior, but sometimes, like,
I don't think I can speed it
me,
up.
I don't really think it is. In the moment, I don't think it is. Like, I'm not intending to be self-destructive.
Okay, she's definitely being vague. We know exactly what she's talking about. But I'll give her a pass here.
No, for myself. So example of this is like, I activate an event, something happens, so like I see a mean comment about me online that is like inaccurate. The belief, I tell myself something. Oh fuck, I have to.
This is 100% vague posting.
oh, I didn't end my turn.
100%. And then she's going to be looping privately.
Oh, okay, alright, I should end my stream. Try to sleep. You can raid Merle. Sorry, Mike.
Small Fry Punk, thank you so much for subscribing.
Angry face. I'm not actually angry. It's more of a serious look, but I don't really have a serious face at all. Just the angry one. That's like the only one I have that's kind of like a serious looking face, unfortunately. Man, I hope you guys are ready for some intense fucking looping. Not chat. I mean my friends. Y'all are gonna be listening to me looping for a long time. In private. I can loop in private.
Okay, I'm gonna say based off this, she did not break it. She's trying really hard. Right? She came really close to the sun, but I'm gonna say it's not. She has not broken.
It's not truly broken.
Okay, so if this is the only evidence, then I'll say that she's not broken yet.
Okay, thanks, Eris.
But I was told that he told his stream that I was acting in.
Okay.
On March the 11th, 1938,
I do care about this.
Austria existed as a sovereign independent nation. On March the 12th, less so. The annexation of Austria, also called the Anschluss, came about as the annexation of nation. On March existed as a sovereign independent. In 1938, Austria existed as a sovereign independent nation. On March the 12th, less so. The annexation of Austria, also called the Anschluss, came about as a result of German troops crossing into the country before a month later a referendum was held to confirm it. But given that overnight a country literally ceased to exist, it raises the question, how did the rest of the world react? What did the world's major players think of Germany annexing Austria? So, as you'll know, Germany annexing Austria was expressly forbidden by the Treaty of Versailles, and given that Germany had just violated it, again, there must have been some reaction, right? Well, to begin, very few nations were comfortable with the annexation, and one of the most outspoken opponents was the French, who, along with Yugoslavia, Romania and Czechoslovakia, had formed what was known as the Little Entente, whose purpose was to deter Austro-German unification and Hungarian rearmament. In fact, the French had even guaranteed Austrian independence in partnership with Italy. Obviously none of this worked, and so the French implemented the harshest measures known to man. They left an angry note. This was because it was frankly their only option. You see, Germany had already remilitarized the Rhineland on the Franco-German border, and so any use of force would be costly, and also Britain said it would not help in any aggressive war against Germany at the time. Speaking of Britain, their response was one of too late to do anything about it now. And whilst they also left an angry note, the Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain saw it as fait accompli and soon recognised the annexation. He knew that the only way to stop the annexation from becoming established was war, which they didn't see as worth it. And also, Britain had hoped that by allowing for German rearmament and also some territorial concessions, Germany would become a constructive international partner, but fun fact, no. And so what about the United States? Well, the US's position was similar to Britain's insofar as there was little that anyone could do about it without war, and the US didn't care enough to even conceive of that. As for Italy, Mussolini was in the process of repairing relations with Germany when Austria was absorbed, and the Italian response wasn't exactly a happy one. There had been an expectation in Rome that Austria would become a puppet state, and so when it was annexed by Germany, Mussolini wasn't exactly thrilled. However, he believed that there wasn't much that Italy could do about it, and also he saw Germany as the future leading power of Europe, and so better to be on the good side. In neighbouring Czechoslovakia, Switzerland and Yugoslavia, the response was one of troubles coming, and so all began the process of rearmament and preparing for some conflict. And Switzerland further reissued its commitment to neutrality, raising it to a level 4 neutral nation. Whereas in Poland, the response was one of concern, but ultimately its government felt that Germany wasn't a threat to Poland. This was due to the two having signed a non-aggression pact 4 years earlier, and those were unbreakable. One of the strongest responses came from the Soviet Union, who was still in discussion with Britain and France on creating an alliance. Stalin went to the League of Nations and asked for a collective response to the annexation. America didn't care, France felt that what it was doing would work, and Britain believed that this approach would push Germany out of the international community, and so nothing happened. I say that the USSR didn't have the strongest response because of Mexico. Mexico lodged a formal complaint within the League of Nations, the only nation to do so, and decried the annexation as an affront to international law. Now, Mexico itself was in a pretty bad state at the time and was a literal ocean away from Germany, and so everyone ignored them. Many nations had opposed the annexation of Austria, but the reality was that there was nothing any of them could do to stop it without war, and none of the major nations felt that that would be worth it. I hope you enjoyed this episode and thank you for watching, with a special thanks to my patrons James Bizanet, Kelly Moneymaker, Marvin Cassow, Mo, Rob Waterhouse, Aaron the White, James Castaneda, Jordan Longley, Gustav Swan, Jerry Lambdin, Marcus Arsner, Maggie Paxkowski, Rashid Ali, Miss Izette, David Silverman, Copper Tone, Winston Kaywood, Matthew Shipley, Spinning Three Plates, Anthony Beckett, Spencer Lightfoot, Lexi Schwinn, Robert Wetzel, Sky Chappelle, and Charles I.
Bad faith.
Oh, I think
which
he
is
did. I think we watched a clip of that. I'm gonna watch this. I'm just curious what he said.
Usually he is. Oh, he isn't good faith at all. That's pathetic, dude.
the situation right now with Ukraine. Have you seen Kyle Kalinski's?
It's kind of weird because, like, if he technically, him running and winning in a way might be like a good thing for Democrats, because if we're what?
Are you getting into like acceleration and stuff here?
No, fuck no.
Okay.
Just shrewd political strategy. If it is the case that Democrats are absolutely going to lose the next election, Trump is probably one of the best guys to lose to, because if he wins,
If you had to give a letter grade to Biden's presidency so far, what would you give him and why?
I would have to think about it, but the lowest I would give him would be an A minus. I never would have expected any major legislation in a Congress that's split 50-50. I've never thought, I would have thought there's just no way, it's impossible. So I think that the fact that he was able to get the, was it the American Rescue Plan?
Yep.
And then the $1.9 trillion of coronavirus stimulus, for once in like our lives, America actually went so above and beyond stimulus. It was insane. We were 4th in the world at stimulus per capita or per GDP.
Percentage of GDP.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure we were 1 in the world for stimulus per capita per person. The unemployment insurance was just insane. We got basically two unemployment.
Stop, you fucking fuck.
America actually went so above and beyond stimulus. It was insane. We were 4th in the world.
Canada 19%, Japan like 50%, Germany 30-something%, United States. So we were behind we were, what is that, 5th? 6th in the world maybe? 1, 2, 3, 4. No, we're 5th. 5th in the world at whatever the fiscal stimulus measured as share of GDP. Yeah, so we're 5th in measure of GDP.
At stimulus per capita or per GDP.
Percentage of GDP.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure we were 1 in the world for stimulus per capita per person. The unemployment insurance was just insane. We got basically two $2,000 stimulus.
What were they at?
checks.
Fuck, I'm sorry.
GDP.
26%, so call it 7%. 7% higher. Maybe 7.5.
Percentage of GDP.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure we were 1 in the world for stimulus per capita per person. The unemployment insurance was just insane. We got basically two $2,000 stimulus checks. One of them was split in half, or one was like 1,400 and 600, but the other was 2,000. Yeah, I think in terms of getting the major piece of legislation back, Biden did the impossible. He got some Republican senators, 15, 16, to sign on to it. I thought it was really impressive. He actually committed to the Afghanistan timeline, even though the pullout maybe could have gone a little bit cleaner. He did it. We left. Yeah, I don't know. I have a lot of respect. It has gone better than I thought it would have. Absolutely.
I agree with the idea that it's gone better than. I mean, we didn't even know if we would have control of the Senate like right after the election. So I mean, those 2 Georgia elections were crucial.
Holy
But-
shit.
Insult take of the day. Why the fuck? Some fat chicks on Tinder and Bumble have really nice like faces, like they're super pretty, and then the rest of them is just like a total mess. I don't get it. Like this person has a really pretty face, but everything else is not good. But again, you know, maybe I have nowhere to talk, but holy fuck. My hairline's receding. Don't care. Stay mad. At least I can run up a flight of stairs. Like, I'm digging for a reason, but I just can't. I can't do it. I'm really giving it a try. Honestly, I'm giving it the good old try. But I just can't see myself being attracted to anything other than her face. I can't do it. Oh, also, boomer take of the day. A red flag that's been a thing for me now is if you smoke weed. Or if and by that I mean like if you're like visibly outward showing that you smoke weed, it's probably because you smoke way too much fucking weed. That's all you fucking do with your life. And because I swear to God, I see more people nowadays that it looks like all they do is just eat as much food as possible and smoke weed all day. That's what it looks like. Like, I feel like I'm just gonna randomly go straight edge. Because that doesn't make any sense. I don't know. Maybe there's just a lot of people in the city I live in that are literally just, they have, well-off parents, so they just live at home, smoke weed all day, and, you know, go to their part-time job and...
Satan shall work, no gain for the legions of Hampshire and York. They claim our possession, the pitiful knaves. The tribute we pay shall be prisons and graves. And cheer, cheer, the Green Mountaineer. And cheer, cheer, the Green Mountaineer. We owe no allegiance, we bow to no throne. Our ruler is law, and the law is our own. Our leaders themselves are our own fellow men, who can handle the sword and the scythe and the pen. Hurrah for Vermont, for the land that we till must have sons to defend her from valley and hill. Our vow is recorded, our banner unfurled. In the name of Vermont we defy all the world. And cheer, cheer, the Green Mountaineer. And cheer, cheer, the Green Mountaineer. And cheer, cheer, the Green Mountaineer. trousers come down, with your breeches of deerskin and jackets of brown, with your red woolen caps and your moccasins come to the gathering summons of trumpet and drum. Come down with your rifle, let gray wolf and fox howl on in the shadow of primitive rocks. Let bear feed securely from pig pen and stall. Here's two-legged game for your powder and ball. And cheer, cheer, the Green Mountaineer. And cheer, cheer, the Green Mountaineer. On the south came the Hessians, our land to police, and armed for the battle while canting of peace. On our east came the British, the red-coated band, to hang up our leaders and eat up our land. Oh, all to the rescue, for Satan shall work, no gain for the legions of Hampshire and York. They claim our possession, the pitiful knaves. The tribute we pay shall be prisons and graves. And cheer, cheer, the Green Mountaineer.
Shit, yeah.
fact
Imagine if we
that-
lost even one of them. It's like you're fucked, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Oh, we're gonna live through that gridlock after November in all likelihood. Which, you know, this is just the way things go in this country. But I mean, I thought I was similarly very impressed with the ARP on the substance of that bill. You know, I get excited about some of the aspects of the infrastructure package. I know that it's not going to be something that necessarily pays dividends right away, and it might take, you know, a period of several months or years for
Probably
the
years.
impact of that bill to really be felt. And so it's hard for Biden to get out there and tout that as a political win. But I would say his vaccination efforts really early on, and let's be honest, that was like the number one issue for voters, was to elect somebody that was going to help us get through this pandemic in the most efficient way. And the voters decided that Trump just wasn't that guy. And so his efforts to assist the states with the vaccine rollout was substantial and huge and consequential. The ARP was a big deal. I think the infrastructure package is a big deal.
my
as
submarine's
well.
still here.
Something that's really frustrating to me that a lot of people don't realize is when the coronavirus pandemic started and was carrying on, a lot of state and city budgets were fucked because they weren't making money because people weren't out buying shit and a lot of their revenues were down. There were a lot of cities and states that had budgets that were like pretty big in the red. They were pretty fucked. And a big part of the 1.9 trillion, I forget the name of it, the coronavirus relief thing, that package, one of the big parts was shoring up like every budget of all the cities and states. Like there were cities who were like hundreds of millions of dollars in the red were now like awash with money, like super in the black. Like they started doing like vaccine fucking lotteries and shit. They had so much money. And nobody seems to remember that or give credit to Biden for that. Like, yeah, there's so much shit, but yeah.
Well, the Republicans were hugely opposed to giving money to the states. They called them blue state bailouts, which was just, of course, absurd.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say was that, you know, as impressed as I was at the beginning, like I felt really optimistic. I even felt optimistic about the midterms. I'm like, after they got the ARP passed, I couldn't believe Manchin signed on to that stuff, to be honest. Like I was shocked that he signed on to that. But, you know, with Build Back Better, the negotiations pretty much stalling out and no real hope of a comprehensive bill to replace it in the future. Ever since that point, I've been sort of not souring on his presidency, but I would give him like a B or a B plus because a few things. There was like, I felt like his administration did a premature victory lap right before July 4th last year, where it was sort of like their, you know, mission accomplished George W. Bush moment, where Biden got up there and talked about how we had defeated the virus and how everything was going to go back to normal. And we knew that there was a potential for variance, and he clearly overpromised. And it was right around that time that his poll numbers like sank. I mean, obviously, a big part of that had to do with the Afghanistan pullout and the coverage of it, and some of the awful footage that we saw of, you know, people falling out of airplanes and shit. But I don't think. I mean, but I also think that his overpromising on coronavirus probably contributed to that decline as well. And then also the fact that he didn't. I don't know how his administration missed the importance of testing and masks before the holiday season. Like, we're getting free tests now, which is good. This is a step in the right direction, but did they not have anyone advising them in the cabinet that we should expect either another variant or we should expect another spike because of holidays? And therefore, because so many people have refused to get the vaccine, why don't we preemptively prepare for this? Because vaccines aren't the only tool in the tool shed that we have. We can also do testing and that sort of thing too. And
I think
the fact that they were late to that, I think, is a very clear mistake. I think you could point to.
I think that the difficult thing. Where do you stand on vaccine mandates, like the OSHA stuff?
Big fan.
So
I gotta go back here. Fuck. Sorry. I gotta open this up in another. So I can pay more attention and type faster.
How everything was going to go back to normal, and we knew that there was a potential for variance, and he clearly overpromised, and it was right around that time that his poll numbers like sank. I mean, obviously a big part of that had to do with the Afghanistan pullout and the coverage of it and some of the awful footage that we saw of people falling out of airplanes and shit. But I don't think, but I also think that this is like plains area.
I'm going to do that, and then I can send them back around and
probably
go through
contributed
here.
to that decline as well. And then also the fact that he didn't, I don't know how his administration missed the importance of testing and masks before the holiday season. Like, we're getting free tests now, which is good. This is a step in the right direction, but did they not have anyone advising them in the cabinet that we should expect either another variant or we should expect another spike because of holidays?
I'm so glad I went with
because so many people have refused to get the vaccine,
because
why don't we preemptively
Civil War ended so fast.
prepare for this? Because vaccines aren't the only tool in the tool shed that we have. We can also do testing and that sort of thing too. And
I think
and the fact that they were late to that, I think, is a very clear mistake. I think you could point to.
I think that the difficult thing. Where do you stand on vaccine mandates, like the OSHA stuff?
Big fan.
So
I say strap them to fucking gurneys and just like forcibly inject them at this point.
So the thing that I have, so I'm in terms of
Put
like
it in the water. Put it in the water supply. Just fucking
So I agree as a matter of like public health and everything, but I think politically, I feel like a lot of this is kind of like I think these are loser political ideas at this point. I don't know how much the administration factors in everything at this point, but there's probably a lot of fatigue related to everything having to do with the coronavirus stuff now. And I do remember this. This might have even been the last holiday season. There were some Democrats saying like, be careful for family meetings, or like maybe you should do like distant stuff or only immediate family. And I remember even Republicans were picking up on even those. It's like, oh, we can't even see our family members. Like, this is bullshit, blah, blah, blah. So I do wonder a little bit like how much they factor in the political cost to some of the messaging, because the fatigue is so high among voters. I'm not sure.
Well, I know that it flipped. I know that the mandates had, I think, like 60% approval when they were first announced, and then it flipped to 40. So the sustained campaign by the right wingers, you can say that it worked.
Well, I can be more generous. I don't think it's just the sustained campaign from the right wingers. I think there is genuine fatigue where it's like, Jesus fuck, like, can we be done with this already? I do think there is some genuine fatigue among the population, especially as the variants, as they come out, they've been like a little bit less lethal. Like the important people that need to be vaccinated are. Like, I'm empathetic towards somebody that's like, can we be done with this and move on from it?
I'm not. I mean, the only reason why I don't have a lot of empathy for those people are the healthcare workers and the strain that's been put on nurses and doctors and healthcare employees all over the country right now. And I think that if Democrats centered the incentivizing effort on just keep it front and center on the healthcare strain, then I think you can get people to do things like, go back to 6 feet, wear a mask, and get boosted. If you just hammer it, like these people are getting
I think the Democrats,
obliterated.
They lost that battle, I think. And I would say that they lost that battle because I think they exaggerated the hospitalizations too much early on. I don't think you can play that angle anymore. I think that a huge mistake that Democrats made was, and even I fell for some of this initially, it was the constant, like, the hospitals are overflowing, all of them are overflowing, all of them are at max capacity. Hearing this over and over and over and over again, and then like the months go on and it's like, wait, I don't know if this is true anywhere. Like, there are a couple counties that have issues, but like largely these were, I'm gonna say, exaggerated, if not entirely fabricated. I think that once you've kind of outwardly lied about that so much, it seems hard then to be like, well, look at our staff. They really are overworked. They really are, these are real problems or whatever. I think you lose a lot of credibility there. Kind of like, like governments in general. Like, you remember, I know you remember this, when like the bird flu came out and like it seemed like every 2 to 4 years there was like the next flu pandemic that was going to wipe out civilization, and it was like, oh, 30,000 dead this year. It was just like kind of a bad flu and it didn't happen. I think that hearing about the hospitals overflowing so many times, you even had, oh God, I'm hoping she misspoke, but when Sotomayor, the judge, was saying that there were like 100,000 kids seriously ill in ICUs from Omicron and shit.
Yeah.
I feel like it's hard for the normal population. They're looking at it like, this is bullshit. Like, I'm not gonna buy it. I don't believe anybody's overworked now. I think it's all like a lie. Or if they are so overworked, why are you forcing them out with vaccine mandates and shit? I just think politically these are really hard issues to tackle at this point.
I disagree with you because, like, who was saying that every single hospital in the country was overwhelmed?
I was hearing this. I would have to go back and look, but I was hearing constantly that hospitals are going to be overwhelmed. Hospitals are going to be overwhelmed, that the capacities are reached. I feel like I saw tweets and people talking about it. Maybe I'm crazy, but I feel like I heard this quite a bit.
But I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean every hospital in the country. Like,
but that's what it sounded like. That's what people were saying. That like everything was going to be overloaded. That's why we've got to flatten the curve. All the hospitals are going to be fucked. And
not to me. When I heard that, I just assumed they were talking about like bigger metropolitan areas.
Sure, but even at that, I don't even think that's been the case, generally speaking.
I think generally speaking, the hospitals have been strained by the Omicron wave more than at any other point in the pandemic. And when you look at the hospitalization rate, it's higher now than it ever was.
Yeah, I do agree that hospitals are strained. But it just like, it always felt like we were being presented with a doom. It was kind of like climate change. It always felt like we were getting a doomsday scenario so frequently, and then when they don't come, I think you build like an apathy to it after a while. I agree that there are, just to be clear on my position, I agree that there are definitely problems with hospital strains. I don't know if you remember, I'm sure you do, even before the coronavirus period, there are like worldwide shortages of like hospital staff. It's always been like a big problem, like getting people to, and then this has just made it even worse. So there's definitely a problem, but I can feel the apathy from people, like hearing a another report of like, oh, this is a huge issue. Like, oh my God, it's going to reach, overflowing. And it's like, okay, well, it hasn't yet. And it seems like we kept hearing it was going to. So, but maybe we're just like seeing different media things for that. I'm not sure.
We saw that CDC guidance come out, I think, like a month ago, where they were talking about changing the quarantine times
from 10 to 5 days. Yeah.
From 10 to 5 days, and they did it. A lot of people, especially I think like a lot of people on the left, assumed that it had to do with like Walmart's profit margins.
It was because of stupid fucks like Hasan cheerleading because of a couple dumb fucking tweets they saw. Yeah.
I actually like I don't think he'll talk to me anymore after that, because I like jumped in his thread and I cited a report that was actually from the year before, and I erroneously thought it was from that year. It was like an innocent mistake. I think we've all made mistakes like that where we get the date wrong when we look at something.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I realized my mistake, I deleted the tweets, whatever. I mean, it was not a big deal. And then I didn't see the clip, but I was told that he told his stream that I was acting in bad faith.
Oh, I think he did. I think we watched a clip of that. He might have called you an orbiter. I don't remember if he did that or not, but I think he said that like, yeah, you're a bad fit. Yeah, he's very sensitive.
He called me a Destiny orbiter?
He might have, but I might be making that up. I don't remember. But I feel like I do remember him talking that. Did he block you on Twitter?
No, he didn't block me, but I sent him a DM. I was like, bro, how are you gonna call me bad faith? Like I wrote this thing. I acknowledged the mistake in the thread. The point that I was making still stood, I believe, but I was making it.
Oh fuck
in a
me,
poor
dude!
way
Everything's so
because
expensive. What the hell? Do I just want range then?
getting the date wrong. On
They're
something.
literally
like,
doing the pandemic memes, right? Like,
but my reliability drops.
I mean, the idea that like I've been doing this for almost
max speed,
14 years now, or over 13 years. I've experienced like meteoric growth and all that stuff, and I don't need to orbit, and I do not care about.
I mean, I can do like two.
That's the first I had heard of being.
That's a lot of fucking
called an orbiter. So, yeah.
Well, anytime he gets like negative criticism, he assumes that it's coming from like my community. He's got like he's really fucking weird.
Right.
Wait,
can I? This is. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna 2x. I'm gonna watch this. I'm just curious what he said. It's a 20, or I'm gonna 2x it, so it's 23 seconds. Give me 1 second. I just want to listen to this real quick.
Okay.
See what he said.
I don't think Hutch is good faith, but I don't know what. Usually he is. Oh, he isn't good faith at all. That's pathetic, dude. Fauci specifically said the letter from Delta played no part in their evaluation. Where does Fauci specifically say the letter from Delta played no part in their evaluation in the transcript link? Also, no one's claiming Delta CEO is solely responsible. No one? Bro, really? Like that? I'm saying Delta CEO is individually and solely responsible? Dude, come on, bro. What the fuck? Did you hit your head? Like, what happened? Did you fucking fall down or something? Did you fall down the stairs and like actually fucking hit your head?
Oh, okay. He didn't call you an orbiter. He just said you hit your head. And fell
Yeah,
on the
that does.
stairs. Okay,
Honestly,
that's
that
good.
was kind of tame. Whatever. Like, I thought it was worse than that. I had never seen the clip.
Gotcha. All right.
But anyways, going back to like the CDC quarantine thing, part of the reason why the CDC implemented these new quarantine standards is because of industries like the healthcare industry, like social services and local services, garbage pickups, electricity, water treatment. All this stuff was going to be hugely impacted by this virus that was going to infect like fucking 10% of the country, 20% of the country or whatever.
Yeah.
And people just assumed the worst when it came to the reasoning for why they implemented the quarantine changes. And it was just, I don't know about you, but I've become so disillusioned recently. I'm just sort of, I still pay attention to politics, but I just don't allow myself to get as invested, because if I stay invested all the time, I'm just going to be a miserable prick.
Because there's so many stupid fucking things being said, like constantly, like just absolutely brainless things. Yeah.
It's tough to deal with. I mean, what do you think about like the situation right now with Ukraine? Have you seen Kyle Kalinski's feed?
Every lefty is like, I can in my sleep, I could just say everything they're gonna say about this. There's not even anything worth watching, right? It's basically like America bad. Anybody that's not America, they might not be good, but America's real bad, and then anything America's doing is bad, and then it's just some variation of that for 10 minutes to get the ad revenue.
It feels like quite the contradiction to say like imperialism bad, but then your position is to do nothing while Russia annexes the entire country of Ukraine.
Well, it's because imperialism is only because they only know imperialism of the U.S. These motherfuckers will literally say shit like, oh, the Soviet Union wasn't imperialistic at all, or that wasn't real communism, or like, oh, in South America, the U.S. is the only country that's intervened. Cuba, Venezuela, blah, blah, these guys have never done. Like, it's just like super one-sided. It's just a really naive. It's just like their whole platform is basically just like fuck America, and then that's it. That's all I care about.
Kalinski said something like, you shouldn't be allowed to talk about the situation in Ukraine without talking about NATO's history. Or something like, what history is he talking about now? Do you have any idea what he's talking about? Is there like some bad history with NATO?
Well, I mean, NATO is more or less works at the behest of the United States, so NATO history is U.S. history, so probably something to do with the U.S. being a horrible, evil country. That'd be my guess. Keep in mind also from a Soviet from a Russian perspective, like everything that NATO does is kind of like seen as like an aggressive act, right?
Yeah. So I mean, like, do you support the administration's current efforts to, inspire NATO to start bolstering Ukraine's defenses?
Yeah, kind of. I don't know the history or the strategy that well, so it's hard for me to say like what is actually happening. Like I've read a lot of different things about like Russia has the last thing I read that stuck with me the most is that Russia doesn't have they don't have the political will nor the economy to sustain any sort of war effort in Ukraine. That the civil war in the East is not going as well as they hoped it would, or didn't sparkle the way they wanted it to, and that other countries that are NATO countries that are kind of like promising or pouring resources in, and then the threat of sanctions is going to keep Russia from ever going in, and all they're trying to do is basically just like chill Ukraine a bit so that Ukraine kind of like backs off being so friendly to Western countries, and that it's all kind of like a big, not a psyop, but it's a bunch of posturing basically. But then I've also read other things that are saying that like, oh, they don't want to get invaded through Ukraine again, that it's a do or die at this point. If NATO pushes or continues to push into these countries, that it's going to be game over for Russia. So this is like their final stand. So I don't know. I just don't have the historical concept, or not even. I just don't have the geopolitical knowledge to know like what would they actually do. But it seems like from everything I read so far, I'm leaning towards like they're probably never going to invade because they couldn't sustain it. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in a similar situation. You and me are both like, neither of us are foreign policy wonks or anything like that. So we're just sort of giving our best guess here. But yeah, I mean, like if you have a fledgling democracy in a really sensitive area of the world, and they're asking for NATO support, that's quite different from like, that's quite a difference between. There's quite a difference between that and like United States meddling in like South and Central American governments in like the 70s and 80s, or it's quite different from invading Iraq in 2003. But it all just kind of gets lumped into this one thing under the banner of imperialism, and there's not a lot of room for nuance these days.
Yeah,
so
it's the big populist messaging on both the left and the right is that basically the U.S. can't do anything foreign ever because it's all imperialistic evil, and we just need to be a totally like isolationist country that maybe sends foreign aid and that's it. Yeah.
What do you think about? Here's another thing that's pissed me off about the Biden administration, and it's not just the administration, but it's also Schumer.
Yeah.
But the recent push for like voting rights stuff just seems like performative bullshit to me, because there was no possible way that was ever going to get done. But Biden felt so much pressure from voting rights groups, activist groups, to appear as though he was addressing the situation, that he went out there, and him and Schumer, like, obviously Build Back Better fell through. And so I guess in order to save face, they decided to publicly say, we're going to try to get this done by Martin Luther King Jr. Day. They fucking knew it wasn't going to get done, but they had to be seen as though they were pursuing this. I just think it's like, I don't like being lied to. You don't need to lie to people. You can just tell people. I wish they would just tell people the truth. We have this archaic Senate rule, the Senate rule that prevents major legislation from getting done. It is notoriously difficult to do anything major in this country, apart from reconciliation packages, which are only temporary measures. They won't last forever. And this is the truth of the matter. We just do not have the votes to get that done. I don't know if politically that's just like a losing message to put out there, like, we can't do this, you need to scale your expectations.
That sounds like
I wish that we didn't live in a country where they need to lie to people. Like, there was no point in doing that. It just made them look like weaklings. It just
nobody has any idea like what the extent is of what the government can or can't do anyway, right? Like, all the popularity right now is basically having to do with like inflation, the economy, and whatnot, which the president more or less can't really do anything about.
Because last time you signed that, you just broke it and declared war on us randomly. So I'm okay with
gas
this.
Prices or higher low unemployment, even if they haven't passed any legislation.
You get major,
so
you get debuffs.
This is the way that it
I'm
is.
less resistant to focus.
Something that I think is a weird bind. We might have argued about this at one point, or maybe just
my boats here. Where the fuck are my boats? Oh, they're there.
Something else that's a little bit strange is I don't think voting rights
is
are
it
actually
stuck?
that important.
Because
in the
it
United
doesn't want to
States
go this way?
when it comes to voter turnout, and there's been more and more research that's come out on this. It seems like when you looked at all the mail-in ballot stuff, and you start to look at all the elections where mail-in ballots have been utilized, it doesn't really favor one party or the other at all.
I don't
Like
know.
Democrats or Republicans
Guys,
don't tend to benefit from it.
don't do
And in
anything
places, I think,
stupid.
where they're expanding voting rights.
Don't
and
go all the
getting
way
more
back to
people
Canada,
vote,
please.
That doesn't necessarily favor Democrats.
Come
either.
here.
So the idea that there's been like this huge, I don't want to say conspiracy like conspiratorial, but like when there's been like this huge plot by the Republicans to kind of like suppress the vote on the Democratic side, it doesn't seem like it's doing a lot to fight for more and more
I mean, the
rights
moment
to
I make it
vote
there,
is
the
actually
world will be
helping
over, but-
get more representation or helping any
Oh,
individual party.
cock LeVar,
So it seems
dude.
like that might be like a lot of political capital expended on a project that doesn't do much and only like emboldens Republicans to like show up at the polls and vote against it or whatever.
We have had this conversation before, and we did
Mm-hmm.
disagree, and we do disagree a little bit. I mean, I don't disagree with you because I've seen similar, I've read similar articles and seen similar studies
invest in
talking
anything. I don't
about
have
how
any.
it's not necessarily
I don't have
cut and
anything.
dry who
Yeah.
benefits when you expand access to voting. It depends on the election. It depends on the district.
On a lot of stuff.
There's all
yeah.
kinds of variables to consider. It doesn't universally benefit Democrats. That being said, I think the fact that Republicans have been so quick to jump to these totally unnecessary measures that do in fact make voting more difficult in order to address a problem that does not exist, and these people at the highest levels probably understand that this idea of widespread voter fraud is just not something that there's no evidence for it whatsoever, but their constituents are demanding that they do it because they tune into Tucker Carlson or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. That
This
it's
is
more
the
like
kind-
you don't really do it because you're going to win off it. It's just like you do it because that's what your constituents want because they feel really strongly about it, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that is worth pushing back against. Like when you have areas where they're closing polling stations, and then you have, like, can you imagine waiting 8 hours in line to vote? Like, I've never ever had to wait longer than 15 minutes to vote in California.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
I think it should be like that everywhere in the country. So I think that is worth.
It's a thing to
I
think
think
about,
that
but the
is
question is like, let's say we can either do that or anything else that might be like a more meat and potatoes issue that might get you like actual people that are more favorable towards your party. I think that's the issue because people are like, okay, well, fuck, like, why would we spend so much time on voting rights when maybe we could push like a $2 higher minimum wage or something? And like, these are changes that people will notice and then will like be more likely to vote for us over potentially. But I don't know. It's all guessing at this point. It's hard to say.
Yeah, but it's like you said. I think most people right now are basing their approval or disapproval of this administration on issues like inflation and gas.
Yeah,
gas
I think
prices.
it's all economic
So like,
right now.
what can the party or what can the administration do to make it seem as though they're working on the issue, knowing full well that they're very limited in how they can, fix these prices. Like, what could they do?
Nothing
besides,
right now. They just have to hope and pray. I don't think there's anything legislatively right now. I mean, the Federal Reserve can hike interest rates a bit, and we probably have to stop doing stimulus because the economy is super overheated at the moment. But I think the expanded UI is done now. But otherwise, you just have to sit and wait and see. I don't think there's anything that the government can
Yeah.
really do. Yeah.
I mean, what if they just do you think they should just fully lean into the culture war stuff? What else can they do? Like, if they can't,
I don't know
if
right
there's
now.
no meaningful legislation that can get done anymore in this Congress. Like, I think they will pass like parts of Build Back Better like in piecemeal. Like, I think they will like do some stuff. Like they'll move on climate. They'll do some other stuff too. But it's just obviously it's not going to be the same kind of. So there's no more major legislation that can get done basically.
I guess
So
I
if
just don't
that's
know
the
right now. Like,
case,
what are the
then-
culture war things that people feel very strongly about right now in America? What do you think?
CRT. I mean, that's I don't know if it's as relevant post Virginia and
Yeah.
New Jersey, but I think it's still definitely relevant to a certain degree.
The Republicans
And
are
then
good at like at getting that going, but one thing that I think is an issue is Democrats need to be more eager or more keen to just drop dog shit optic things, because I feel like sometimes Democrats are too keen, or maybe we've let the far left wing hijack the messaging too much, and it's cringe. And I think that the Democrats have to be more willing to moderate a little bit on some things.
How is the far left hijacked broad national messaging? Like maybe on Twitter, but like.
Yeah,
How-
hold on. I don't let this slide anymore. I used to, and I used to hope that it would more, but I don't think we can just say only on Twitter anymore, because I think Twitter is becoming a more and more relevant area where politics are being discussed, and I think things from Twitter are carrying more into real life. I think it's gotten to that point to where if there's a massive trend on Twitter, I don't think we can just say, oh, it's just on Twitter. Like, I would argue that right now there are a lot of Republicans where when you say, who is the Democratic Party, a lot of them are thinking like, if it's not older people thinking Pelosi, it's like moderate and younger people thinking AOC. And I think that is an issue. To be fair to AOC, she's gotten a lot better at her messaging, but I do think
better.
Yeah, way better, way better, way better than I ever thought she would have in the 2 years, whatever she's been in, or I don't even know at this point how long it's been.
Yeah, she's shrewd.
But yeah, I like, man, dude, I feel like the CRT thing it was an opportunity for everybody to smuggle their baggage in for what they wanted to argue. People on the very far left were using it to argue for some genuinely dog shit ideas, and people on the far right were using it to argue for like some genuinely dog shit ideas. I don't know. It's hard to say like how well national conversations go compared to like online debates or whatever. But I think you have to be very quick to admit that like there is some very cringe shit that some teachers try to push. You call that out for being cringe shit, but that doesn't mean that we need to stop teaching about like slavery or something.
I think, yeah, that's a perfectly reasonable position. I think that's like the sensible position.
Yeah.
But I still like, can you give me an example of how you think the far left has hijacked democratic messaging on particular issues?
I haven't followed. I don't know if culture war stuff has been as much recently. I know that during the last set of elections, it was the ACAB stuff. No, not necessarily. It was the defund the police stuff and the socialism stuff. Those two huge things dominated a lot of national talking points in a very negative way for Democrats.
Yeah. Well, I think the data bears that out now. Like
Yeah.
there was a cost to that in terms of like House seats.
I'm trying to think of recently, all of the attacks on student debt is, I don't know how much, if that's perforated like the mainstream media, but like the obsession with student debt with millennials on Twitter, I think is kind of a negative or kind of silly.
I don't think a lot of people are like, I don't think a lot of people are talking about student debt on a regular basis.
That's good.
I
It's
don't fucking
everywhere on
know.
the
I
internet. It
spend
might
all
not be
my
in like the
time-
main media, so that would be good, but yeah.
It's not even a popular proposal. Like I
It's
think
not.
I think a lot of people think it's way more popular than it is. But when you look at the polling, I think there is like a decent amount of support. I think it's like 60% support for giving a certain amount of student loan aid if the person whose loan is being forgiven engages in some kind of civil service.
Yeah.
I think that's when you see it at its highest popularity. But in terms of blanketly forgiving student loan debt, that is like abysmal polling.
Yeah.
That being said, this administration has shown a willingness to bend a little bit when it came to, like, he extended the student loan payments like I think 3 or 4 times throughout his presidency. I think they're scheduled to pick back up in April or
And
May.
I think there has been some targeted forgiveness, hasn't there?
Yeah, I think he's forgiven $10 billion worth of student loans to certain groups of people, which is like a drop in a bucket when we're talking about, I think, $2 trillion worth
Something.
of debt collectively. But he has actually forgiven billions of dollars.
I think I
in
just need,
student
like, a
debt,
row
but
of everything, honestly.
Like no one ever talks about that. Like there's so many things that this
it's
administration
probably more
has
guns,
done
don't
that no
Oh, I
one
don't need a row of
has
carrier
talked about.
cast,
Like how
'cause
many
carrier
people
cast
were
never
talking
dies.
about drone strikes
Just
like
no
a
one
year
has
and a
a
half
fucking-
ago? Like the Bernie or bust people. How many times did we see like the meme
Do
about
it.
the drone dropping bombs and then the drone on the right with a rainbow flag dropping bombs?
Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen that like 1,000
A million
times.
times posted by people on the internet, yeah.
And here we are, like a little over a year into Biden's
Should I
presidency,
help
and he has
France?
largely ended the drone
that
war.
war.
They're not doing, like, they're hardly doing it.
Sure, should I put my
compared to,
ships in the
like,
water
what they
near
did
Britain?
under Trump? I mean, under Trump, the civilian
Obviously, I
casualties in
can't
Afghanistan
task force
from
with
drone strikes
the United
spiked
States. I
over
don't even know if they have a navy.
300%. And we still get subjected to this stupid fucking meme. It drives me insane.
I think that's an internet thing, but yeah, I agree. I do see it a lot. It's really annoying.
What do they do? They have Lexington and
But I mean, as much as this
Also
stuff
bigger than Navy than I do.
dominates conversations on
That's a good
Twitter,
purpose.
I would have to see like how, like, I'm open to what you're saying right now in terms of how these things can bleed into, because somebody sees something on Twitter and then maybe they go to work and then they're having a conversation about politics with their friends and then they say, well, actually, and then they repeat some false thing that they saw on Twitter and then so like I can see it bleeding into the mainstream, but I'm not super convinced. Like, do you watch a lot of mainstream media like MSNBC or Fox? Or anything
I
like
haven't
that?
been lately. Once the election season picks up, I'll probably be reading
Should I
more
go
again.
right
Yeah, but I've been
you-
skewing away from it because there's not much going on right now. Yeah.
I usually watch some like
part of me
when I'm
really wants to
making
just
breakfast, like
Help.
30 minutes, just to
Yeah,
kind of get a
I
sense
should.
of like what those conversations look like.
move it into-
And I have not seen the far left like hijack those institutions at all.
Yeah, I think right now almost all of the conversation for the past several months has been like obsessively focused on.
Oh, because they own
on the
Gibraltar.
economy.
That's why.
That's what
I
everybody's
can't actually help them
feeling and
even if I
talking
wanted
about
to.
right now. Things like, because when things like gas and shit start increasing, like that's nobody gives a fuck about what's happening anywhere in the world. Like Russia could be ready to nuke Ukraine, and nobody would care if like gas is like, you know, on average like 350 a gallon or whatever. So I think those have been the topics that have been dominating the media.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's one of the reasons why Jimmy Carter's presidency went down in flames was because of gas prices. I think that was one of the driving forces, and gas shortages too. I think that there were like hella long lines at gas stations back then.
Chief of Staff, Motorized Infantry, 10-speed, Mechanized
I mean,
Infantry,
I don't know, like,
Speed,
how do you feel about,
Chief
like,
of
the
Staff, School of
prospects for, like, the next
Maneuvers,
3
Division
years? It's
Speed,
not
Armor
looking good
Division.
for me.
It's
I think that's
totally
what I
going to
want.
depend on how the economy is doing. If like
Max
inflation
Entrenchment,
flips,
Land Fort,
or if
Coastal
the
Fort,
economy
don't need
flips and
that.
like
I'm not
inflation
defending
starts to get a lot
myself.
better and everything starts to alleviate.
Grants,
and
Chief
get
of Staff,
better,
School of Psychology, Division
the reality
Organization,
is
Division
that I think
Recovery,
right now the
Game-Based
economy is
Support,
doing really well.
Mass Combat,
Like,
Critical Population,
wage
Infantry
gains
Division.
among working class and middle class people, I
this
think they had the highest wage gains, I think, last year or last quarter than they have in like 40 years.
Yeah.
So the wage squeeze is real as the labor force participation
I'm gonna
drops.
throw my boats over here
Unemployment right
then.
now is
Oh,
like
I got-
below
oh, I've got-
4%, I think. The markets have all been doing
Where is that?
phenomenally.
Where are they
We
starting
freaked the
from?
fuck out when there was like a 4% drop, but the reality is they were up like 25% last year. It was massive gains across the entire market. Like all in all, the economy, the picture of the economy is doing pretty well. There have been a couple people that have been a little bit fucked, but like just because of the inflation and seeing some prices go up, people are feeling bad. I feel really bad because nobody seems to know when like things have gone well, or they don't feel that as much, but when anything goes slightly wrong, they get like really upset about it. So as long as the inflation can
I'm gonna
come
wait till
down
my
a
boats
bit,
get back.
I think we'd be in a good spot, but I don't know if there's time for that right now. It's hard to say if that'll happen, you know, with everybody getting sick and the supply chain and everything getting so fucked on everything. It's hard to say.
And I think that the Democrats are massively disadvantaged when it comes to messaging, because you're right. Like, and like I mentioned the drone war, and you talked about like wage growth. There are all kinds of good things that have been happening in the last year, but the Democratic Party has to contend not only with like the Fox News and the Ben Shapiro's and all that, they also have to contend with the if you want to call them the far left. But I think like if you want to use another general term, you could say like progressives. They haven't been very kind to Joe Biden in the last year, and with like the drone memes, that's just one example of like 1,000. And so like the Democratic Party has to contend with both of those at the same time. Whereas you see, it's not 100% solidarity on the right, but it is. They have way more solidarity when it comes to messaging,
so
and staying on
curious.
message and being disciplined.
How much are they like still rallied around Trump? Is that
How much are is the Republican
the
Party? or the
Republican Party still
base?
seems like, yeah, the Republican Party and base like still seems like pretty big on Trump. Still seems to be a pretty popular figurehead in the party.
You know, it's interesting. His numbers aren't as high as you would expect them to be, like within the Republican Party. And I cite polls off the top of my head. I could be wrong. So if I'm wrong about this, like feel free to fact check me or anybody in the chat. But I think they did a poll of Republicans and they asked who they want the nominee to be in 2024. And I think it was close to 50% said Donald Trump, which is quite surprising to me.
It is
Like,
a
I
little
thought
surprising. Do you think it's really that low, or do you think just because he hasn't been in the media for a while, and if he comes back, all of a sudden everybody will be hyped as fuck again?
I mean, he kind of has been in the media a lot. He's constantly doing media interviews and holding rallies, but he's doing like 2 or 3 media interviews every single week, which is just wild, because typically if a president loses or the day they leave office, they fuck off. Like Obama said like a few things that were sort of like mildly critical of Trump during Trump's first term, and even that was a huge departure from the norm in this country.
That is true,
Normally-
actually, yeah, because normally once presidents are out of office, they're gone. They shut the fuck up. Even Bill Clinton didn't say much, I think, until the ending part of Hillary's campaigning, but yeah. And that was his fucking wife, so.
This is all a part of the tradition of a peaceful transfer of power, and I think that tradition exists for a good reason. This is why like a lot of people got pissed at Michelle Obama for being like buddy with George W. Bush, but it's actually in her position. That's actually like a really good thing for the country, even if it doesn't make you feel good as someone who loathes George W. Bush with every fiber of your being. That tradition actually does do wonders to prevent things like what we saw on January 6th. But yeah, this former president has been totally abnormal. And I think he has put himself front and center. He can't tweet as much, so that he's not getting as much headlines. But
Okay,
but
I
yeah,
want this to work
it
now.
does surprise
But if
me.
Germany,
I
if you
would've
don't
thought
work,
those numbers
okay,
would've
if you
been
don't
like
work together,
70,
I will
80%
crush you.
Want him to run again, but that doesn't exactly inspire confidence. Like I feel like if he runs again in 2024, that's a gift to Democrats. If it's DeSantis or someone else, I don't know who's gonna win. It's very possible that Biden loses.
It's kind of weird because, like, if he technically, him running and winning in a way might be like a good thing for Democrats because if we're what?
Are you getting into like acceleration and stuff here?
No.
Okay.
Just shrewd political strategy. If it is the case that Democrats are absolutely going to lose the next election, Trump is probably one of the best guys to lose to because if he wins, he can't run for a second term. So they don't have an incumbent advantage in the next election. So
Okay, but then you also have an unhinged maniac who no
4 more
longer
years of Trump.
feels pressure to, stay in some kind of lane because he wants to get reelected. Now he doesn't have to worry about that. He can just do whatever the fuck he
His
wants.
conversations
It's
with people
scary.
before were flagrant. Did you hear on the phone him talking to the Georgian governor? We need to find 40,287 votes. What the fuck is wrong? Like, an absolute disregard, like an absolute sigma male in terms of his approach to everything. Like, just blatantly doesn't give a fuck about any of the processes. Like asking Pence, like, bro, do you think you can do something about this election shit? Like, or like still saying that, we're gonna flip Arizona. It's gonna happen, 4 years later. Like, Jesus.
I don't know who got cucked harder, Pence or Sessions. It's close. It's definitely close.
Sessions got to live his little fucking dream. I don't know. Fuck Sessions.
Probably Sessions, because Sessions had to deal with Trump's abuse for like a
4
year and a
years.
half. No, it was like a year and a half before. he
Oh,
resigned.
publicly, sure.
But yeah, both of them were totally loyal to Trump, and they both basically had their political futures destroyed. I mean, Sessions was like 142 anyway, so I don't know how much that matters. But Pence delusionally thinks that he has a shot at the presidency, as does Ted Cruz and Kirsten Sinema. I mean, there's just so much delusional narcissism in Washington, D.C. But yeah, I mean,
when did we get a war with
I
fucking
don't know if
Mexico,
there's gonna
dude?
be
When
people
did this
that actually
happen?
challenge Trump, because I think it's safe to say the Republican leadership would prefer if he was not the nominee. But they will
my
fall in
votes.
line if he.
I don't wanna-
announces,
yeah,
like,
I'm
I
not
highly
calling
doubt DeSantis or Pompeo or, whoever.
We're
the
a war with
fuck,
Mexico. I don't even know.
would try to get in his way during the primary.
Yeah, I don't think it's even that like the Republican leadership
How many
has a
tanks do
strong
I
of an
have?
opinion about
Well,
it. I think they're gonna
no tanks.
immediately follow wherever the base is. That's why you had so many people brown nose Trump so much after talking so much shit during the primaries, because when you see how popular a guy like that is, you're gonna be behind him no matter what.
It's just really wild to me that you can have someone
Actually,
like
I
Trump
wanna do
do
this
what
one,
he
yeah.
did
I want
on
at least
January
100
6th. Not
something
even
K.
on January 6th,
Like
but in
this.
the run up and in the months after, and he's still doing it right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see these snapshot polls, which are worthless at this point. We're 3 years out from the next election. But you see these snapshot polls of Trump beating Biden if the election took place today. Like what? Like
Biden will win Arizona.
how many people collectively can just forget like how
Fuck
bad
colonies.
that got because like gas prices got a little high, or maybe there isn't enough bread at the grocery store, and all of a sudden that matters more than these, like the call from Georgia, like these blatant, flagrantly corrupt actions.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's weird because it's just weird. Voters are very strange, Sometimes people will say shit like, voters care about meat and potato issues, That's what they care about the most. They care about the economic issues, But like my mom, she is a single issue voter on some things like abortion. She wouldn't give a fuck who a candidate was. If they came out as pro-choice, she's never voting for that motherfucker. And I know there are other Americans that feel single issue on certain things. And when you have Trump, who's like, he's selling his personality more than any policies, right? Because legislatively, he didn't really get anything done. And I don't even know what the fuck policies this guy actually stands for. But like, as a person, I think that's who they're voting for. Trump as a person,
I mean, the tax cuts were a big deal, and
They were. That was his one accomplishment, yeah.
for his party, they were a big deal. Optically, I mean, like 90% of the Republican voter base probably were neutrally affected by the tax cuts, but then also the Supreme Court nominations as well.
Yeah,
Those-
but I mean,
those
like,
are
I
the
do give
two
credit for
big
the Supreme
things.
Court. I mean, like, it's his job, right? But yeah.
Yeah, sure. That's not exactly. It doesn't take a keen political strategist to nominate, you know, a Gorsuch or a Kavanaugh. You just do what your base is going to be happy with. But yeah. I mean, was there anything else to talk about when it came to Biden here?
No, man. If it feels like there's like a path forward where if we lose the midterms, which seems pretty likely, nothing is going to happen legislatively, which means we're probably going to lose the presidency, which means we're back with Republicans everywhere again.
I think it's like I feel comfortable talking about being totally blackpilled on the midterms. I don't feel comfortable talking about being totally blackpilled on the presidency in 2024 because again, I think if
Fuck
they
you,
nominate
King.
Trump, that will be
Get out of
a
here,
gift to
scumbag.
because like as unhinged as he was before, he's even more unhinged now.
True.
And I think that as soon as you start
Abdicate.
seeing more of him in the media,
Albert.
it will refresh people's memories of like how fucking crazy that was. I might be totally naive to think that, but
It's hard to know because it could be the Republicans, yes, you know, like, nah, this is too much, or they might be like, that's my guy. I miss that guy.
yeah, but you need more than the Republicans.
Yeah, having
think,
them
like,
around,
there
I don't
were
like
enough
Ireland being
independents that got
fucking
turned
controlled
off
by-
after January 6th that it's going to be hard to bring them back into the fold. Things would have to get really
Okay,
shitty.
England.
Like, let's
I'm
say
not playing as
another
England, I'm playing as
variant
Canada.
and it's even worse than Delta or Omicron or whatever, and it just completely fucks everything up, and there's more supply chain issues, and there's more inflation. Then at that point, yeah, Biden is completely fucked. Even if he's advocating for the correct policies, he will be completely fucked in that. And that so it's completely impossible to plan for. Or if there's no more variants, and then we get you know, treatment and therapeutics, like bring the death rate down to like a real minimal amount. I know that the military was working on a universal vaccine that will protect against all the different variants, and they're in the trial phases right now. So there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic about where we're headed when it comes to that, but there
I
are
miss
so many
myself.
unknowables that trying to make any predictions 3 years out, it just seems like kind of silly.
Yeah.
Well, Australia. But I don't know if they're gonna break off. I don't know if they're being weirdos.
Yeah. Well, anything else?
So far, India's been
And
fine.
I don't think so. I mean, like,
India
how do
just
you
has to
feel
worry
about
about
like the
losing this,
state of Twitch politics?
Failure
these
of the
days?
Halifax.
I've
Fuck off,
sort of,
Germany.
I've sort of backed off a little bit.
Hey,
from-
fuck you, Germany, you stupid fucks. What did you
well,
not
I
want?
mean, when you say Twitch
Oh,
politics,
did
I'm thinking
France
there's
not?
like me.
Oh,
Hasan,
France probably didn't
and
renounce
then there's,
Hasan,
like
right?
all of the other people that cover stuff.
No,
Am I
I mean
being
all
really
of it.
facetious?
Stupid.
I mean all of it.
I don't know. I think that I feel like Hasan's takes are probably some of the dumbest, most dog shit takes I've ever heard in my life. Legitimately, he's like not even malicious, just really stupid. So there's that, and then he kind of
Nor
sets the
part of
tone
the-
for the
yeah.
platform, and then I'll give a take, and then all the other political people will kind of like argue
Rice
about
Park,
other things.
these
It's-
guys,
everything's been kind of like
they
slow
might
right
join the
now
war.
since
They're
Biden's
internationals.
presidency. There's not crazy shit going on, so the conversations are getting more and more esoteric, I guess.
Less
But-
politics, more MasterChef, that kind of thing.
Kind of, yeah, or just like over random things about like social issues or whatnot. But
Did you see his conversation with Christian Walker? Did you watch any of that?
oh yeah, I did. God, he's just so dumb. He just needs to accept what he is and just not talk to and not challenge anybody ever on anything.
I mean, listen, I don't love Hasan's
going on
takes
here?
much of the time, but and I was worried about the thing with Christian Walker. I still like
Oh, did these guys
part of it
are
rubs
they in
me
like
the
a
wrong way
separate
a little bit
cult or
because he
something
was
stupid
like
I'm not actually.
super buddy
What
with
they-
him. Like he was very friendly with him. But he pushed
Some
back.
news.
I thought he did a decent job pushing back
sure,
against like the anti-trans talking points, to the point where like
Who am I at war with?
midway through the conversation, some of my discomfort with how buddy he was with him sort of faded
Oh, I own this
away a
land
little
here.
bit. I was like, okay, well there is
True.
some usefulness to this because I don't think Christian Walker looked like all
Just
that
renewed my Dalibin membership,
reasonable
Nathan W.
throughout that debate, and like maybe Hasan changed
me
some of
Greenland.
this guy's
Yeah.
viewers' minds. So I saw
Yeah.
in that.
Okay,
And
that's
I thought that
interesting. I thought that the all of the trans stuff I thought was really bad. It felt like for a lot of questions he just kind of like remarked on what he said and then laughed and then tried to like move on, or he didn't have a really good. I felt like he didn't have a good understanding sometimes of how to push back on a lot of the trans points. I think his trans community got really mad at that conversation too because he started banning a lot of them in his chat.
I just on a random
afterwards.
piece of fucking
A lot of them
desert.
were pretty
What?
critical. Yeah, there was a
Really?
huge thread that showed up on his subreddit that had, I think it was over 300 or 400 comments maybe, and then he was like mass banning trans people from his chat afterwards who were complaining that they thought he didn't handle the conversation very well. So, but I don't know, maybe that's just my perspective.
It could have gone worse from my perspective.
Mhm.
Could have gone worse.
Could have, yeah.
Did it?
okay. Well, yeah. How do you feel our semi-annual check-in went?
It feels great, man.
I feel like if I'm gonna orbit you, I should be probably trying
my
to
God,
orbit
what
you
the
more,
fuck just
right?
happened?
Like one check-in every 9 months.
They're like a
at least.
destroyer
Once
fleet.
a month.
Oh, I sold them a bunch of
How,
fucking.
how do you feel about the new Call of
No,
Duty?
they don't control that, do they?
You're enjoying it a lot, I think.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think like it was like 10 years ago. One Call of Duty MP could have sustained me for an entire year, and I'm just a different kind of gamer now. Where I do enjoy like a lot of single player stuff now. Like I'm playing Red Dead right now and just having a great time with it. And but I think like I think this year's MP was like one of the stronger ones recently. But I just think that a lot of people are moving away from traditional MP. So I think
Into like
more people
Warzone
these
type
days
stuff, or what do you mean?
Yeah, more people are playing Apex and Fortnite and Warzone.
Naval
than they're playing
Dockyards? I don't know if I
traditional
need
MP.
naval
mean,
dockyards
Halo is
because this gives
pretty
me
fun.
this.
Did you have a chance to play Halo Infinite
I
MP?
have not done Halo at all yet. Did you ever
It's
enjoy any of
tough.
the Warzone, like any of the Battle Royale games, or no?
No,
yeah,
wait, that's
I
really
play. I mean, I play Warzone constantly.
Oh, okay, cool, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I have a fun time with it. I'm looking for more
Okay,
stuff
my other fleet
to do
destroys these
than just
fucking
play
losers, though.
Call of Duty these days. But yeah, I'd say it's pretty good.
Gotcha. What do you mean by more stuff? Like more games or like real life stuff?
Yeah, just some variety. Like I can't play Warzone like 6 hours a day every day. Like that's why I've been doing like 2 hours of single player to start the streams and then move into Warzone. I just have more fun with it. But yeah, before I could play like 6-8 hours of like Destiny and Fortnite, and I had no problem with it. But
Have you ever?
I
Do you
don't
ever
know if it's
play
just me
Rust?
getting older? Or... Rust looks a little complicated to me.
Oh,
Like,
okay,
so
gotcha.
It would be difficult. I feel like it would be difficult to learn. So I tried playing Tarkov a few times, and it's just
This is
that
not what I
menu
wanted.
system. It's just there's so much stuff to learn when it comes to that game. Where I kind of gave up after a couple weeks. I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna do this.
Gotcha. Okay.
I don't know what I pressed, but it's not what I wanted.
All right, well,
there's a lot of
yeah,
mountains in Mexico.
good checking in with you. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're enjoying Miami.
Yeah, I love you, buddy. Let me know when you plan a trip down here. We can get some food or something.
Yeah, I'll hit you up. I hit up your pal Supreme. So I think I'm gonna get lunch with him and IRI in a couple of weeks. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah,
I
they
think
mentioned.
seem like reasonable guys.
Yeah, the IRI guy is super cool. He's like a huge fucking loser nerd when it comes to like following all of like the House races and Senate shit. So he's an awesome guy to talk to. He knows so much about like all the political shit. I super love that dude. Him, and then Wicked Supreme has like a background in like intelligence, I guess. I don't know how much he says, whatever. Yeah, I don't know anything secret, but like he's a really cool dude too. He knows like a lot of stuff. He's like a really smart guy. Both of those guys are like two of the coolest people in the politics arena. So I really like both
Yeah,
of those guys.
I think IRI, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think his stream is doing like much better these days. Because when I checked in like a year ago, when I was on one of Dylan's panels with him one time, and so we followed each other on Twitter, and sometimes I would watch his streams, and he was only getting like 15 viewers like a year ago. And now when I check into his streams when he's doing those like C-SPAN, watching the Senate debate and stuff, he's got like 250 viewers watching him now. So it's a
that's
decent
awesome.
amount of growth in a year.
Cool,
All right, man. Well, enjoy the rest of your week. Take it easy.
Yeah, have fun. Be careful, buddy.
All right, bye-bye.
Half in the bag.
I just don't know if anything could top this one.
Hello and welcome to a very special edition of Half in the Bag.
Is it?
What?
Is it special?
It's special.
It really isn't anymore, though.
Oh, you're talking about Star Wars.
Yeah.
Well, let's go around and say our first.
Well, thanks, Hutch. I paid a lot of attention to that. No, recap of what I heard. Hutch is just kind of, overwhelmed by people just like basically harassing the shit at him for having a different opinion than them, specifically Hasan. He plays less COD video games, so he just sounds like he's a little bit tired of stuff in general. And then vaccine mandates and stuff like that, he's like, more for it and everything like that. And, I feel like at this point, a lot of like with Destiny's opinion, my opinion, Hutch's opinion, it all kind of falls down on where you are in the real world or where you kind of are extracting it. Because if you're, so it sounds like, what it sounds like from Hutch is that he's, more online. So it's like, fuck this shit. Like, this is so dumb. Just strap him down and give it to him. It literally doesn't matter anyway. So he's like a little bit more like kind of like, I don't want to say detached from reality because it sounds like it's a bad thing, but it's not. It's just kind of like a different perspective of like the mandates. But I have 0 organization. What the fuck? Am I losing my mind? Is it just because they're just standing and doing nothing? Is that why? I don't know. I'm not gonna question it. Maybe they just spawned. I don't know. Maybe it's just because they're standing here doing nothing. Let's have them go do something. Go to Mexico. Anyways, and then Destiny's trying to be a little bit more in the middle. In the sense that like he's for it. Well, he's trying. Maybe a lot less in the middle. He's trying to ground himself in reality, but it's a little bit like, you know, off. And then I was gonna say myself is like the most grounded reality, but it's probably similar to Destiny, where it's just like I would prefer, you know, vaccine mandates. It's kind of like an obvious choice, and there's so many other things that you're already like mandated for. But I understand that like a bunch of people are kind of just tired of things, and I have to. Well, it's something I kind of struggle with because it's like, you know, I am like completely unaffected by it, but at the same time I sit in my basement, do nothing all day. I just go to work and come home. So like, A, the odds of me getting coronavirus are very low, and then B, I don't do many things that are affected by coronavirus. I just come home and play video games. That has been unaffected this entire time. So my life has barely changed this entire time. So I got to be careful that like other people aren't as resilient as I am in this situation. So they will have a lot more fatigue from this kind of stuff, which can definitely be annoying, but it's still a reality. Go capture Kingston. I want to start making medium tanks, but I'm not sure that I can. Well, once I research 1940 medium tanks, improved medium tank chassis, I'm going to start pumping them out. It's only 19. Remember, it's only 1939. The war has just started. It's only 1939, so realistically, we have a lot to go.